Hello everyone, welcome to my next video. In this video, we are going to talk about how to set up the UiPath Autopilot for everyone. Before we get started, let's see what is the UiPath Autopilot and what it can do. So basically, UiPath Autopilot for everyone is actually a virtual assistant. You can actually consider it as a assistant that lives in your machine and who can actually support you on day-to-day activities. So as we know, with UiPath, it can do automations, it can do document processing, it can integrate with any external application easily through integration service or through APIs. So with the autopilot, you can kind of combine all these capabilities together, and it gives you access to do all of these things with a simple message that you can type. So basically, you can send a single or a simple prompt saying process my document or send an email, and it will decide what process to execute, how it wants to execute, what data do I have to execute this request. If not, it will ask you, and it will perform those activities for you with a simple message. So this is how a virtual assistant works. So that is the UiPath Autopilot for everyone, which comes in as a part of the UiPath Assistant. That's where you can see the chat interface. And that can actually do a lot of things for you to make your life easier. And it's also one of the latest additions in the UiPath platform. That being said, how to get it set up in your environment? Let's have a look. So, as I mentioned before, the UiPath Autopilot, it actually runs in the assistant in the attended mode. And this is how it looks like. So I have already set it up before to give you an idea. So you can interact with it by providing any message, any task. So I can start by probably saying hello. And basically what happens in the background is it actually identifies your intention and it kind of runs the model and gives you a response. So this is how the autopilot generally looks like. And for every reply, you get a suggestion. And these are some general things that you could do, like create email summaries, create meetings, process documents, and optimize different collaboration activities. So these are some things that you can do. That being said, let's actually see how to configure this and get started. So this actually comes as a part of your automation cloud, and there are some prerequisites that you actually need to do to get started. So all this documentation is available in the video description. You can go there and access these as well. But this is generally the easy steps that we can follow. So first of all, these are the main things that we have to do. So first thing is we need to have the latest version of the UiPath Studio and the Assistant. So generally it's 24.10.5 or higher is the version. So I have already installed the latest version in my machine, so it's all good. And then we need to have the enterprise plan. So not all of you have the enterprise plan. So if you don't have an enterprise license, you can easily enable the trial version, which is available for 60 days. And along with that, you also need to have certain licenses. So the automation developer, citizen developer, attended user, these are the licenses that's needed to run it and develop these solutions. As you know, it's running in the attended mode, so you need to have these licenses available for you to get this up and running and to run the automation process in the background depending on the request that you're sending. So that's the second step. The third one is a set of steps that we need to do in the automation ops. We'll leave it for now because I'll be covering that part later. And we also have a few services that we need to enable, like document understanding. In addition to that, we also need to enable UiPath Insights. So these are a few things that we have to do. And lastly, the personal workspace, you need to enable it in your orchestrator. And most of these things you have already done while you're configuring your environment, setting up your robots, connecting the studio. But yeah, so first of all, let's see how to enable some of these services. So to enable services, we need to go to admin. Then you need to click on your tenant, then go to services. And you can see I have the enterprise trial license. So now we are going to services, and we have the document understanding service and few other services available here, which is already enabled for me, but I don't have the insights. So let's go ahead and enable that. So I need to click on add service and click on the insights and just add. So this will take a couple of seconds or probably a minute to enable the service and activate it in your environment. Once that is done, so you can see the message is already done, and then you're good to go. So your first step is already complete. And now it's the next step. So we have the license, we have the version, and we have also set up the services. And now let's see whether we have set up the personal workspace in our environment. I'm skipping the automation ops for now because it requires few steps. But let's complete the easy steps and then we can get into the automation ops. So now I'm going to the orchestrator to see whether I have enabled the personal workspace and what settings and basically to see what settings we have. So you can also follow. So let's give it a second to open the orchestrator. And yeah, so you can see in the folders I already have it enabled. And then let's make sure by going into manage access, and this is where you can configure all the permissions and everything for your user. So I'm going to edit my user and go to this screen, and in here you can see the personal automation setup. I have enabled the personal workspace option. And sometimes this screen can be different. You may have a different screen. I have seen this happening even within my different environments. But don't worry, this setting is always there when you come to this page. You can enable this personal workspace from here. So it's a very easy thing. Just enable it for the users that are going to use the autopilot and click on the update button. Since I have already done that, let's consider it as complete. So we have completed most of these steps already. Now let's go to the automation ops. This is where we need to configure few settings to, to do few things before you need to before you basically set up the autopilot. So I'm going to my organization over here, and we need to go to AI trust layer. So before going into the automation ops, I'm going to show you few steps, and then let's go to the automation ops. So AI trust layer is where you have all the things related to your AI models, everything, including automation for everyone. So there are many more things here. We'll look at those things later. Here I'm going to select my tenant. So it's the default tenant, and you can see here that the document understanding service is already enabled. These are like the pre-checklists that we have. And then I need to do the user license management and some Anthropic things. That's in the automation ops. But before getting into automation ops, let's see what this user license management is about. So there are a lot of settings related to user access management, and you can read about all of these things from this documentation. All these links are available in the video description as well. So if you want to read more and understand more, you can always access that and have a look. So this documentation also tells like how you can enable these settings. So you can see in the enabling user license, um, yeah, in this section, it says the steps that we want to follow and where we should go to do that. So basically we need to go to admin screen and from there enable it. So let's go to the screen. Okay, I'm going to the admin screen, and under settings we have the advanced option, and right below this table here we see the user license management. We just need to enable it, and it says turn on the interactive authentication, which basically was there for quite a while for attended robots. So we just need to enable this setting. Just click on enable. It will take few seconds and then it will be ready for you. So it's a very easy step, and we have completed that one as well. Now let's go to our autopilot in the AI trust layer. Let me find AI trust layer, autopilot for everyone, selecting the tenant, and you can see both options are enabled now. Basically it's checked. And now it's time for the automation ops. So basically we need to enable anthropic models in automation ops. Again, what are these models, what it does? You have a lot of information that you could read from this documentation on how to enable these things. Enabling is a very simple step, but there are a lot of settings around AI models in the automation ops. So you can read about those things in the documentation. So we have to go to automation ops, create a new product policy for AI trust layer. Then on the product toggles, we need to enable this setting, and then on the models, enable Anthropic. So it's easy. Let's see what we can do here. So I'm going to automation ops, and in here we just need to create a new product policy for AI trust layer. So I created my policy. It's the automation, and we have these settings already enabled under product toggles. And let's see what we have in feature toggles. It's already enabled, and under models, this is where you can find the Anthropic. So you can just enable it, and that's it. And here you can actually see a lot of settings. So these are the settings I was actually telling you guys about. So you can go through these things. You can see what we can do, how to enable, disable, what features we have. Let's save it. And now we need to actually deploy this policy that we created. So we can go to deployment and click on our tenant. We need to edit it. Then go to AI trust layer and click the autopilot option and save it. So these are the things that we have to do to get the setting complete. Now let's go back to our page in the AI trust layer. We are selecting the tenant, and we have all three options enabled and checked. And we also have user onboarding checklist. So basically for new users, these are the things that we need to consider. The same exact steps that we looked at the beginning of this video: the version, the personal workspace, and the license, and the settings in the automation ops. Once you're done with this, then you have this button enabled for you. We just need to click on it, and it will do the installation on its own. So you don't need to worry about all the detailed things, what to install, where it's getting installed. All this is covered for you in the by doing this. So it will take a few seconds. probably a minute or two, depending on how fast it can go. But it's an easy thing. So let's give it a few seconds. Yeah, and you can see it showed a message and the screen changed. And here I again have a few extra options like starting from. There are a lot of things here, context grounding and automation properties. So there are so many things that we can look at. So all these can be like different topics. We are not going to talk about these things. It's mainly focusing on the setting up and getting it to run. So basically, by the time you do this, it's already installed in your environment, and then you just need to connect your assistant, and it should be running over here. But there's one more setting. There is one more thing that we need to do in the assistant. So in the assistant, we need to go to preferences and under orchestrator settings. We need to connect the assistant using the service URL. So this is the last setting. So there are different options here like the service URL, client ID, machine key. Um, we need to use the service URL here because it's using a certain connection method and certain licenses to get the autopilot to run. So we always have to use this with the orchestrator URL. And once I signed in, it will be running for you. So basically, that's it. So with that, you have the autopilot installed in your machine and you're good to go. So from there, it's all about, chatting, connecting to different services, running different automations. So there are so many things that you could explore in the um, on the autopilot. So we'll also see what we can cover in the other videos on this thing. So for this video, this is basically it. I hope this is helpful. In case you get stuck anywhere, if you want any help, feel free to reach out to me, drop a comment, or we also have the WhatsApp group, um, and I can help you. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.